Live like it's 95.
Yes, indeed. That's what I'm talking about right there. You all right there, Joe?
The foundation of your home.
Mic check, mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3.
All right. Sorry about that little malfunction there.
Oh man, ain't nothing but Murphy Law. I'm sitting here trying to make sure that we are we live or are we live, right? We could be live. Ain't nothing but Murphy Law. That's all it is. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I got you, Lon. Thanks for everybody that I know. Nothing like starting out frozen. Let's hope this thing can keep going. But yeah, guys, special guest here, Law Nation. What's going on, Law? Appreciate you.
Oh my goodness. Hey, it's one of those things where I'm looking at it one day at a time, you know, and just like 2020, it was horrible, but 2021 will be better. And just like this stream right here is going to kick off and it's going to be better. Let's go.
Let's go, guys. So yeah, got a lot of topics to go over with you guys. We're just gonna have this as an open discussion about the Cowboys, Law, and everybody watching live. Make sure you guys hit like, subscribe, and share. Hit up my guy, Law Nation. I'm sure all you guys are. Law Nation, the goats, man. What a great way to start the year here in January. But Law, as we look at the Cowboys right now in the offseason, we're about 3 weeks into it now. We're on Dak Watch.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get like that horn that they would use for Brett Favre watch. You remember when Brett Favre, they would talk about him and the horn would go off?
Man, I need to find one. All I got is this one. I don't know if that one could work.
Yeah, we need something like that, like Dak Watch.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah,
that'll wake some people up.
Yeah, sure will. But Law, what is your take on when you expect something to happen here with Dak Prescott's contract? Do you feel like this is going to be a while? Let's wait a little bit.
Well, I'm looking at it like Jerry Wayne Jones is all about marketing. He's all about the money. He could be like jealous of all of the attention that the Super Bowl is getting. So why not circumvented with the Dak Prescott signing, or it could be after the Super Bowl when everybody is talking about the draft and the opening day of free agency. Maybe he wait and squeeze everything out from there. And it's another thing that the salary cap number have not been exposed yet, so he may wait for that. So those are the three areas where Jerry Jones might do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The cap, they're talking about it's going to be 175, 180, somewhere in that range, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
So, you really can't do anything until we get some of these numbers kind of confirmed. So, I'm just looking at this as, it's either long term or you're going to, do something crazy and start over. I don't know if we can do a franchise tag again. Law, I mean, what's your feeling on how do they handle this contract?
Well, my thing is, as far as if they do the long term, it's all in our favor because I believe that if you go ahead and solidify a contract agreement for him, anything from that point on, it will not cost you more money. Just like if we were to sign him long term, when everybody was saying, "No, you can't sign him." Remember, it was $22 to $25 million for his market rate, his market value. Now his market value is 36.5. So now what we're going to be doing is like, okay, if you wait and continue to wait, I think that Dak Prescott, the type of caliber of player he always going to improve.
Yeah.
But from the Cowboys fan base, we have the most fickle fan base. They sit there and say, okay, give me this, give me that. Let Andy be the quarterback. He's better than Dak Prescott. And then they moonwalk back from that, So
yeah, it's crazy. It's like some of the crazy takes that came out of that 2020 season. They're just like, can this season be over already?
Right.
I mean, we got to talk about Andy Dalton. Like, oh man, come on, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then when they got a chance to see him, they're like, oh, let's go.
Yeah, then they were calling for Garrett Gilbert to come back. Like, okay, guys.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel everybody. I mean, it was that kind of season, but yeah, I think that's got to be. It's the biggest storyline of the NFL law. It's Dak Prescott. I think Deshaun Watson is kind of taking some of that, that discussion away right now. But it's still, Dak Prescott. Like, it's the biggest news. Like, what are the Cowboys going to do? You know what I mean? So I think you have a few earmarks that you got to reach in the offseason. Like you said, the announcement of the salary cap. When is that coming out? Have you heard when that's coming out?
Oh, man. You hit me with a surprise on that one. Maybe somebody in the community box because I don't know. It could be a couple of weeks after the Super Bowl. Maybe they announce the new salary cap numbers there. But like you said, you gave a rough estimate, so it should be anywhere along those lines.
Yeah, anywhere along those lines. The lunatic in the house, appreciate you, brother. Sign Dak, improve our defense, and let's roll. So, I mean, that kind of seems like where a lot of fans are looking at this offseason law as far as, what really hurt us, this past season. What was the Achilles heel of this team? And it had to be defense. I mean, record. I mean, it was a complete disaster.
Disaster and a half. When we look at defense in total, it's one of those things where we tried to bring in a new scheme and bring in new philosophies as relates to defense during the COVID, and we look back at it and say, "Man, that's crazy." Now, on the other end, if we were to keep our same philosophy, let's say, for example, if they got rid of Rob Marinelli but kept Chris Richard, then maybe the base defense would have been okay. Maybe we could have been still in the middle of the pack, and we wouldn't even be talking about, hey, this and that. But now the truth is that they see how valuable Chris Richard was, or the philosophy, or how valuable you can throw in Rob Marinelli. But now all of that is gone. Now we got to bring in Dan Quinn, and we're supposed to go back to some of the same principles, one gap scheme, where you get up the field, rip havoc, and create pressure on the quarterback. So hopefully we can just erase 2020 and 2021. We can get back to that middle of the pack type of defense.
Yeah, and I think that's that's kind of all we kind of need. Obviously, it'd be better to get into top 10, but man, if you can get the defense just in the middle with this offense, I think you're rocking and rolling. Law and I were talking about this offline. We're talking about the Buffalo Bills. Don't sleep on them in this championship game because what was it you said, Law? Defense travels.
Yeah,
right?
defense travel. And they did something similar what we're about to do. They went and got a Leslie Frazier, who was a failed head coach, who didn't pan out to be a wonderful head coach, but he's wonderful around drawing up and putting up defense. So now if you look at the Dallas Cowboys and look at the weapons that we have on the offense, we just need one or two pieces on their front five as it relates to the offensive line. Maybe that'll be okay. But on the defensive side, if you can bring in a guy who earned his grain of salt with the Seattle Seahawks, then went over there to the Atlanta land, and he regardless of how we look at it, he did take them to the Super Bowl. We have yet to see the Super Bowl since the 90s, right?
Yeah.
So we can't be too picky, Cowboy Nation, talking about, well, he can't do it. Look, we haven't seen the Super Bowl since the 90s, so we got a guy that's been there. Now, although he gave up big leads or what have you, we got Mike McCarthy now. So hopefully Mike McCarthy, he is known for great comeback victories. And Dan Quinn is known for giving up big leads. So hopefully you can marry those two together and we would never see the big leads being gone, right?
Yeah. I've never seen the Cowboys to be like a choking type of team where we have the lead and we choke it up. I don't think that's ever been our DNA. But speaking of DNA, Law, trying to develop an identity, right, has always been a question here with the team. Like, what is the identity of the Cowboys? You talk about the Bills and Titans defense, Cowboys. What in your estimation is the Cowboys' identity right now?
Well, that is something that we got to establish on both sides of the ball. Are we going to be a pass-first team or a run-first team? One can argue that Jerry Jones said they built this offense around the offensive line, which is primarily a run-first mentality type of offensive line. Now, if we're going to be a pass-first situation, then maybe you see less usage of Ezekiel Elliott, which we seen last year, and in the year before that. So maybe Dak Prescott can be that guy that can sling the ball all the way around the field. That's on the offensive side of the ball. And on the defensive side of the ball, we got to be a team that forces teams to pass, meaning that we got to be a run-stopping team. And that is something that we have not established. Even when we was going in 2014, we couldn't stop the run, 15, 16, 17. Although those numbers were obscured to show that we stopped the run, but it didn't. When teams wanted to run on us, they were able to do so. So in order for us to establish that style of defense, we have to make necessary investments, and that is into the interior of the front four. We need to have a big plug that can stop the run.
I agree 100,000%. I mean, that defense was Swiss cheese. We got to change that to cheddar cheese, a solid block. Not let anything get through there. I mean, it really does set the tone. When a team is able to run, it sets a tone in a game. You know what I mean? When Zeke, and I think in his rookie season, we were able to pound the ball. It wore down the opposing defense, and you were able to do things. And that's what these teams were doing to us. Hitting us hard, running all over us, opening up their pass game that made the secondary look really bad. I mean, it seemed like everybody was getting exposed left and right.
Yeah, I mean, you speaking nothing but the truth. In 2016 and 17, the thing was they were like, okay, if you're going to beat us, Dak Prescott and Jason Garrett, you're going to have to, and Scott Linehan, you're going to have to throw the ball. We're going to load the box. We're going to put everybody, mama, uncle, cousin, inside the box. And if you want to stop us, you got to stop that, or you got to defeat that. And the problem was with the young Dak Prescott, he didn't really know how to take advantages of the one-on-one to the outside. I will put that out there. I know a lot of people will say, "Nah, Law, you're always optimism. You're always speaking positive of Dak Prescott." So what we've seen is the process of 2016, 17, 18, and 19. We saw the Dak Prescott learn how to defeat that single high safety look or the two deep safety look where everybody else is still inside the box. He learned how to overcome those styles of defenses and those exotic looks or what have you. Now the problem is that the franchise didn't believe in him So they kept saying, okay, prove it to us again. Oh, can you do it without this? Can you do it without that? And now we've been into this vicious cycle, whereas now Ezekiel Elliott is not the 2016, 17, 18 Zeke. He's another type of Ezekiel Elliott. And they paid him, and they have yet to pay Dak Prescott. So how can we overcome that? The only way will be if you go ahead and play this 2021 year out, and you establish that the fact that this guy can do it all, and that's Dak Prescott. But I know that a lot of people will say, nah, he can't.
It is. It's one of those conversations that you have. You know, I always go back to Romo. You had the guys that hated him. You had the guys that loved him. And Dak is there now. You know, he has that strong contingency of haters, lovers.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it is. It's like you said, a fickle fan base, unfortunately. But I'm with you on this, Law. I mean, I want Dak Prescott here. You know, whenever we were on that slide and we were looking at the top 5, I was like, okay, well, maybe, you know, we're in Trevor Lawrence striking range, and you know, maybe I can roll with Justin Fields. But as the collegiate season even went on, I wasn't too impressed with some of their play. You know, obviously they've had good games here and there, but nothing where I was like, yeah, this is the next Peyton Manning out here. You know, it's a risky thing, isn't it, Law?
It is. Just like all you need to know about Trevor Lawrence is how he looked like in the game against who did he play against? Was it Ohio State? And that's all we have to know and see, that will be the Trevor Lawrence of the NFL. He is not NFL ready like people think he is. It's going to be some growing pains. It's going to be things that he's going to have to overcome. And I don't want to hear people say, well, he didn't have the weapons. Have you seen Clemson? They have the weapons. My thing is just pump the brakes, Cowboy Nation, on going out there saying, okay, Trevor Lawrence, he'll be a generational. He will be a game-changing type of quarterback. With those little tiny legs, he going to get folded up like a pretzel on the next level. And the same thing is with Justin Fields. It's going to take time for those guys to get acclimated to the NFL system, and that could be another 3 to 4 years. And who knows? Who really knows? But you got a known commodity in Dak Prescott.
Yeah, you do have a known commodity. That's for sure. Law, what is your estimation as far as what his payday might be? I mean, they're talking about Lamar might be getting his contract, and you have to believe that's gonna be in the 42 somewhere range plus. I mean, these guys, you know, we talk about the market value, you know, and to me, that's a real thing. I know some people are still stuck on. I wouldn't pay Dak 30. I wouldn't even pay him 25. You know, this isn't the reality of it, Law. What, you know what I'm saying?
Well, according to like Pro Football Focus and over the cap.com and Spoke Track, they got him right at 36.8 mil, and they got him right at an average annual salary of stretched over 4 years, $147 million. And that will put his contract right in the range of Carson Wentz, Pat Mahomes, and Watson. So my thing is that will be his market value, regardless of how people like it or not. No. That's his market rate. And based upon, they do not pull these numbers out of sky. They pull this number straight out of factual information, meaning that they compare his level of game, not by the wins or losses, but they compare his level of game, his stats, and the way he lead the team and the surrounding contemporaries on how they get paid. So that's where they pull these numbers from.
Yeah, it is. It's not like they're pulling them out of thin air.
Right.
So, yeah, it's something to, you know, get like a base value and then work from there. But, you know, it's almost like if you're an employee for a company, at some point, from Dak's perspective, you kind of get like the feeling like, man, I'm kind of getting jerked around here. You know, where's the money? You know what I mean? Like sometimes myself in my day job, I'm like, I'm doing all this work, I'm hitting all the check marks. Where's my raise and title change? You know what I mean? Do you think there's any frustration from Dak Prescott where he's at right now, or do you think how do you feel Dak's handling this right now?
I think he handled it pretty well. You don't hear the strife or the malicious interviews, and you don't hear him going back and forth with media. He's really poised in his stance on everything. If anybody who's frustrated, probably be his brother Tad Prescott and some of the people that's in his corner.
Yeah.
But outside of Dak Prescott, you really don't hear the wordings as relates to somebody's being frustrated. Now, that could be a detriment to his own demise because of the fact that he's not boisterous in his approach to the money or approach to this situation. I recall Russell Wilson said, hey, if I don't have a contract by such and such date, then I'm not showing up. If we heard that type of firm stance by Dak Prescott, I think that will open up the realities of the minds of Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. I think that's something that they really need to take into account as they try to figure this thing out. And, even those guys are saying the right things like, oh, we told Andy Dalton, this is Dak's team. We're
Right.
hearing all these wonderful quotes. So now, oh, we're gonna have a soft landing on this contract and this and that. Like, okay, well, let me see it.
Let me see it.
Let me see it, man. Because like you said, this everything is gonna go through this. Like you said, free agency, your draft strategy, the makeup of the roster. So, assuming we get something done here with Dak, what is your number one priority as far as the roster outside of Dak? Let's say we get the contract done. What's your next primary focus?
Well, if the contract get done, we do need to solidify the defense, right? That's like something that we all can see with our eyes. The defense need to be improved. But the problem in the issue is, with the same breath of that, is that we have to figure out this offensive line. Unfortunately, we have to figure that out.
Yeah.
La'el Collins, maybe you said you saw some pictures on Instagram that he was out there skiing, for crying out loud. It looks like he lost a few pounds, which is good. But he need to be football ready so we can know for sure we got somebody at the right tackle. On the left tackle situation, there will be more games this year than ever before in the NFL. They move into 17 games opposed to 16. If I'm a betting man, I will say that Tyron Smith will not make it all 17 games.
Yeah.
And I know that don't sound good to Cowboy fans and to other people out there who's just optimistic, but that's the realism right there. So I believe after you solidify the contract agreement with Dak Prescott, you have to go back into the well and figure out how can you bring in somebody to help out the offensive line. We going to have to do it. It's just one of those things where we got to, and then we can go look at defense. And I'm a defensive-minded guy, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely, Law. That's where I'm at with the offensive line too. Everybody is just saying, "Oh, they're back. We're going to be fine." And for me, it's like, have you seen? He barely played 2 games, missed the whole year. That's the most Tyron miss. It's scary. And then you got the neck, the back, everything. So, does he even play 8 games? It's a realistic, thing that we're talking about, right, Law? It's like, okay, if he misses 8 games, who's going to come in? Do you want another 8 games of Brandon Knight?
Well,
I mean,
that's the thing. And the games that he missed is always at the weirdest time. So
Right.
that's something that we have to add into our mental too. And here's the situation, Joe. Even with Tyron Smith, if he so happened to play 8 games, man, we'll be happy for that, right? If we could have got 8 games from last year, we've been like, yes, our record would have been better than what it was last year. So, and that's how crazy this thing is at this point. We
really
wishing
is.
for 8.
I know, and just the fact that we're kind of getting like desensitized into this kind of mental, like you said, it's like we got to get out of there. I feel like we need to get somebody in place here. They need to have a succession plan in place. Whether it's drafting a player or a free agent who's better than average. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I know that you can't have a full lineup of all pros. I think we all know that, but it seems like this offense needs to be running on all cylinders, no matter who's been the coach here. And I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know. What's your thoughts on Philbin, though? I think that for what he had, to me, I think he did an okay job, especially down the stretch. What's your thoughts on Philbin, how he finished the year?
He finished strong, but the timing and the placing of everything, it was sullied in a sense because we knew that Terrence Steele had to go through some growing pains.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, we had on our show on the Late Night Hype, we had Big Duke on the show. He's the offensive line guru who's actually working out with Alex Leatherwood right now and working out with some of the premier guys like the Suo kid. And he works out with a bunch of those guys. And he came out and said, hey, we got to look at this offensive line or any player in the NFL as Olympians. It takes 3 to 4 years to train to get to the Olympics.
Yeah.
So you can't expect Olympic warrior day one off a position that is going to take time to develop. So we knew that. My thing is, I guess you have to point the gun. Still, let me get my gun out. I guess you got to point the gun at Jerry Wayne and Stephen Jones. Because here's why you shoot them. This is the reason why. When La'el Collins showed up out of shape, you should have been on the horn. You should have been calling everybody, saying, okay, I need help at right tackle. I can't have an undrafted rookie as my right tackle protecting a quarterback who's pretty much playing on a whim because he don't have a futures contract. And then they had to be cognitive enough to know that the left tackle situation, that he's not going to play 16 weeks. So they had to know those things. Let me load up the gun again. They had to know those things, and they had to put some things into place to solidify that, and they never ever did.
Yeah,
they built the plane basically, and I'm not trying to be sounding like I'm hating or anything on the Joneses, but they technically built the plane while it was in the air.
It's true. You know,
I shot that one at Stephen Jones.
Right there. Yeah, they did. I mean, the front office, I think, had the worst showing since Jerry took over the team. I mean, they missed on a ton of free agents. Some of their moves on the roster were kind of goofy. You know, they have to rectify this loft, and if we want to have a better season, they can't miss on the free agents, even if they're low level guys. You know, they can't miss on these guys.
They can't. They can't miss on those guys, and they're gonna have to bring in something to solidify the front five, and then they're gonna have to look into this free agent. The free agency is such a sweet one, you know. Yeah. That is why when you look at the teams that's in the playoffs now, or if you look at the team that recently won the Super Bowl, they did it through free agent. I think that the Honey Badger, he wasn't just sitting out there saying, okay, I don't want to go to this team. No, he was on a free agent market. He was on the open market, meaning that if you can throw money, now he had his choice of where he wanted to go, but if you could throw money at his way, right? Free agency and acquisition. They had to pick up a guy to be an edge guy to help out Chris Jones. So everything works out for each other. And of course, I know that a lot of people would say, well, we don't have the money. They just pay all of the money for their guys. Money can be found.
Yeah, money can be found. Exactly. You know, some fans say, oh, you know, we're tied for this and that, but you can manufacture cap space.
Right.
But yeah, getting Dak on the long-term deal would really open it up. But Law, as far as like free agency, do you think they're going to stay status quo and just go with the third and fourth week of free agency, or do you think they're going to dip their toes into the first week of free agency? Do you think they need to do that, or what's your gut feeling on what they do this year?
Well, man, you're right on the money with it. I had a theory because a lot of people was looking at why did Cowboys sign Dan Quinn so quick, and I was looking at it like, man, it could be this right here. They already had their eyes set on Dan Quinn in December. They didn't really care about anything else. So, you know, when a man's mind is made up, you be like, I want that one. Mm-hmm. And that's what they did. They went and got Dan Quinn, and they said, okay, we're going to implement his philosophy, his system, his schemes, and all of this stuff back into the system with the Cowboys. But they better listen to him. And that meaning that they better go out there in this free agency or have a focal point in the draft. Interior defensive lineman, right? Safety play. So week one of the open market of the free agency is a contingent upon we would know everything about this team if A, they signed Dak Prescott to that long term, B, if they dance and shake and move and show us something in this free agency. And I'm not talking about Walmart, TJ Maxx, Burlington. I'm talking about some realness, right? Get one or two guys that can flip this thing around. But if they don't do it, then it's just the same thing over and over again, rearranging the furniture on the Titanic.
It really is. And I think I've said this is going to be the Cowboys' biggest offseason since the Cowboys have bought the team, because it's either going to go up or we're going to continue on this downward spiral if they screw this thing up again. So
right.
They got to nail this. I'm with you, Law. The TJ Maxx's and these kinds of Dollar Tree, this kind of thing, it hasn't worked.
It has not. Now, as a disclaimer, there's nothing wrong with going into Marshalls and TJ Maxx and Dollar General and the Dollar Tree. Shake the tree. Maybe you get something good out of it, but you cannot depend on it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely can't depend on it. So is there any names out here that really stand out to you where you really want the Cowboys to make a push for a free agent? Like, I really would like this free agent on the Cowboys. Anybody out there that you like?
Oh my goodness. Now there's a guy named Dalvin Tomlinson, big plug that's in the interior of the Giants. They had top 10 defense last year. Or if you really want to get fancy with it, because he's not a one, but if you just want to just say, forget it, man, I just want to get a guy that's a playmaker and I can think about closing my eyes and him and D-Law on the same side of the ball or what have you, will be the Leonard kid from the Giants team, Leonard Williams. So if you get somebody like that, those two boys, or if I really, really want to get all happy about this free agency, Justin Simmons, Marcus May, both of those boys can really turn the team around. And you can probably throw in a Troy Hill, but those are my high-end free agent guys. Does not consider Walmart all-stars.
No, the Cowboys need to take that surfboard and go on that first wave, because if they wait and get on this on the wave here, that's barely a wave, you're gonna get what you pay for.
Right.
And, I'm with you. I love Dalvin Tomlinson. I think he's somebody that would really, stuff it. Stuff that the running game, and that rotation would be fierce. I love that. Leonard Williams. You mentioned him. He's a great one. I like Larry Ogunjobi out of the Browns, defensive tackle.
Right.
He's young. I wanted the Cowboys to actually, see if they could get him on a trade last offseason, because he's on the end of his contract. So. He'll be available. I wouldn't mind taking a look at him. I know they liked him coming out of Charlotte, and he's really helped that Browns defense. I think he would be a steal if they could get him. I love the players you mentioned there at the safety position, because I feel like if the Cowboys are going to keep doing what they do and not draft a safety, you need to shore that up. I feel like you have Donovan Wilson as a good piece, but you need somebody next to him. Right?
Yeah. A complimentary piece. So many people will look at the Legion of Boom. They'll say, man, Cam Chancellor or the Richard Sherman and the Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright, who's out there at the free agent market as well. KJ Wright, I would like to have him here, as well as Brett Maybank. They'll talk about all of these guys, but they fail to realize that Earl Thomas was like the nucleus. Like, Earl Thomas made crazy plays. He made crazy plays, and he was the quarterback of that defense. So regardless of who established it, whether it's Gus Bradley or whether it's Dan Quinn or whether it was even the likings of a Chris Richard, it's hard to replicate people, right? You can talk about scheme and system. Like, look in basketball, everybody talk about, hey, man, Michael Jordan, he ran the triangle offense and, blah, 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 blah. But only two ran it to the perfection, Michael Jordan and Kobe, right? So let's not try to look at it like you can just throw anybody in the triangle offense and you're just going to get this explosiveness of production. You got to still have the player or the person that can make the plays to make the system work. And to me personally, when we look at this team, like the Jordan Lewises of the world, the Cheeto Wooziers, they have yet to prove that they can make things work. Xavier Woods, not throw those guys out there in front of the bus, but the reality of it is that in order for us to elevate ourselves, we have to look into the mirror. And I know it's an ugly picture when we look at it, but we have to figure out a way to bring in players and dogs that can make some plays.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that the Cowboys have is their ability to try to find the diamond in the rough. But I think where we're at this season, we can't go with that. You got to go get premium guys. So those are good ones. So we'll see if they do that, Law. As far as the draft goes, we got the Senior Bowl coming up, and these guys, it looks like a pretty loaded roster. I think Jim Nagy does a really good job here, taking over Phil Savage the last couple of seasons. And this roster is very stacked. I think that since the combine is canceled, you're seeing more people go in and get that invite and say, "Oh, never mind, let me go do this." So, I mean, we're talking offline about all these Alabama guys being at the Senior Bowl, and how fun is this going to be to watch?
Yeah, it's going to be nice. As from the mind of the offensive line that we need, we'll be looking at Alex Leatherwood, and we'll be looking at his individual techniques, his drills, his explosiveness. We'll be trying to take a look at him. And even though we may not be shopping or looking for a running back, the Alabama running back, we'll still have to do our homework. Just because we got an Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard doesn't mean that it excludes you from getting a running back. And you still just have to look at it and always evaluate things with a soft eye. Never evaluate things as it relates to like a team need. There's an old scout that says, or even Bill Parcells would say, if you think you're good at a spot or great at a spot, draft again. Meaning that, hell, if you got a chance and opportunity to see a Kyle Pitts, don't turn a blind eye to it, because you never, ever know. And you just never know how times will look at it like you have a second chance at getting the person that can be generational for your team. So it's just always have a soft eye.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Especially looking at the draft. It's you definitely have to keep your options open. And I love Najee Harris. I think that guy is a complete running back. You got the running back out of Clemson. He's another good one. There's a lot of good ones you can get. Do you want to settle with Rico Dowdle and some of these other guys? For me, yeah, I think they looked okay. But if you can get better there, and do you actually need to set yourself up for the future as well when you're looking at some of these picks? You want to draft for now, but also for the future, right, Law? So, yeah, I mean, how would Cowboys Nation handle a draft pick like that? Like say you took a Kyle Pitts somewhere in this draft, or a Najee Harris. Do you think fans would just lose their mind, or would they be on board with it?
They'll lose their mind because fans look at it from a need per se, perspective. They look at it from a need, but general managers supposedly and scouts supposed to look at it like, I need to present. Like if I'm gonna present work to you, Joe, and if you're my boss, I want to present you the best available. Meaning that, and then you take that best available and you present it to the coaching staff. You say, elevate what these guys rectified or identified on tape, and elevate that. And every year somebody get it wrong in the draft. Tons of teams got it wrong about Diggs last year, right? That's why he fell all the way to the second. Tons of teams had Jeff Okudah, AJ Terrell higher than Diggs, but Diggs year one played better than those guys. So where do that value lands, right? Need versus want, or want versus need, value versus this. So my thing is, if you looking at the Senior Bowl and you see Deontay Brown, and you say, well, I already got a Connor Williams, or I already got a guy that showed promised to us last year, Connor McGovern or Zach Martin. No, I'm looking at Deontay Brown saying, okay, that big boy, we're going to put him in the inside, and we may flex Connor Williams to the outside. So you got to have a soft eye when you're looking into the draft. There's no rhyme or reason of why you can say this person is better than the next. because a lot of people was wrong on Justin Jefferson last year, right? And of course, a lot of people were wrong on C.D. Lamb. C.D. Lamb, there was two, Jerry Jeudy and the other fast kid that went to the Raiders, were drafted before him. I guarantee you, they probably look at it now like, nah, they should have selected C.D.
Yeah.
So that's why you got to look at the situation and say, let's go for value versus need.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. That's a very good point to put in everybody's head to think about for sure. Even myself, I kind of think about it, I'm like, I don't know, but then it's like you said, it's like, if you can strengthen a position, why not do it? So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see, who stands out in the Senior Bowl. I'm very excited about. You and I were talking about this offline about, are we going to get the full practice coverage this year, unlike last year with the recap and that kind of thing?
Right.
Hopefully they give us the full practice this year, man.
A piece of it at least.
yeah, at least, because that was beautiful. When you saw like the practices, you saw the trenches. That's what you want to see, and these guys perform. I want to see what this cornerback is going to do against a Devontae Smith in practice. You know what I mean? I mean, cornerback might be a need for the Cowboys. The Cowboys tend to go to the Senior Bowl and pick up a lot of players from this game, Law.
Yeah, and you're right. They go there. They trust what they see with their eyes, and there's a lot of things is that they see team builders. They see like this right here. If I can use this as an example, how well and how fast they can pick up new systems, new schemes. And they see that things that the highlight tape nor the college all 22 tape will show. They see character building, and nothing builds character faster than putting you in a place where everybody have the same set of skills, but it's a whole new environment, and we can see who can climb out on top from there. So they looking at all of those things, and I believe that's how Dak Prescott came on this team, right? They looked at the Senior Bowl and said, man, this guy, we had this grade on him, but he's performing better than all of the other guys that we had a higher grade on him. Now, if we can squeeze him, if he drop a little bit, then we're winning. So they looking at that as well. So in this draft, I just want people to know that take your time. Don't be too quick to call somebody trash, but just look at it like, okay, soft eyes. Let's not look too much at need, but let's look at value. And then if the first round, if somebody give you a king ransom to get to the 10th spot, then allow them to do that. But in the same voice, if you feel comfortable with your draft grade on a certain player with the 10th pick, then you stay there. And if you really love somebody like a J.C. Horn or somebody like that, then there's no problem. There's no problem in trading back into the first, getting somebody that you value. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely, Law. And I think you see this every time in the draft. I don't know that if anybody thought, AJ Terrell was going to go, as high as he did, or maybe even Ruggs. So, sometimes these guys go a lot higher than you think. Right now there's not much talk of safeties in the first round, but the league is a pass heavy league, and you need these guys. So I just wouldn't. I wouldn't even be surprised if you see a Surtain. Does he even make it to 10? You know what I mean? Like it's that needy of a league, and these guys they're hard to come by. So J.C. Horn, these guys, they might go higher than what some of these early mock drafts are looking at. We're talking about Barmore as well. I think early in this process, some people are thinking second round, but then you look what he did in the championship game. I think that elevated him. So. It's a crazy thing how the draft shapes up. We were talking. We mentioned this on the podcast. Aaron Donald and Zach Martin, they got that Senior Bowl bump. They were like lower first, maybe second round. That Senior Bowl, what you saw from them, bumped them way up.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to see who that's going to be this year.
And people are so quick. We had Barry Church on the show, and he was the undrafted guy. Yeah. And he said that sometimes scouts, teams, the owners, and beyond, they so quick to put the label on you. And the label with Aaron Donald was, hey, he's too short. His arms are not long enough. but his bursts and get off and his explosiveness is everything. He just destroying people. How is this possible? Well, so many people are so caught into the measurables, but they fail to look at what he did out there on the field. So just like with Christian Barmore, he's not good against the run, but he's excellent on pass rush. Maybe he's not an every down guy as it relates to a person that you can put in the 3-tech on your front four. Maybe he's a great rotational piece. Who knows? He might be reading that too. He may say, hey, I could be the next Chris Jones. I could be the next whatever, coming streaming off from the interior. It's so many things, and you just can't put that label on these players. And nobody will ever know how that player is going to convert into the system that they go into and how the coach is going to be able to elevate that out of them to play at that highest level or higher level.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the absolute truth, Law. Yeah, you know it right on the head there. And there are teams in this league that are like measurable heavy. Like they have to hit these earmarks to even be in the conversation. Do you feel the Cowboys are kind of like that, or are they kind of in between that? What do you feel on that?
Well, I believe that they extremely like that. They look at the measurables and they say, okay, he got to be this guy that can do this. Mm-hmm. They looked at Byron Jones. He got to be the guy that can do this. And according to his speed and what he did at the combine, man, that elevated him out of the mid-second round all the way up to the first. And now we got a guy that can be rangy. He got to be a safety. He got to be a safety. Got to be a safety. And then when we, get another guy from the outside in, kick him at cornerback, and it worked for him. And he got a big paper from that. Same thing with Connor Williams. We as fans, we can see like, hey, he was a tackle in college. He's quick on his feet. Hey, he's not the strongest guy. He's not going to move stuff out the way, but he can get in the way.
Yeah.
Cowboys look at it. No, we got we got this. We got that. He got to be a guard. He got to be a guard, right?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Do you feel like sometimes that may be detrimental as far as like missing on a talent like a Buda Baker who's a little bit shorter? Or like, like maybe like a Honey Badger, like, oh, we don't want to even look at him in free agency because he's not this height or this and that. Do you feel that's detrimental to the team?
I just wish it's detrimental, yes. I just wish that even if we have it in our mind, I just wish we never say it, right?
Yeah.
So we won't pass up on an Antoine Winfield Jr., right? So we won't pass up on a Buda Baker. So we won't pass up on guys that we know from our evaluations of tape, all the way sitting on our couches, so that we would not exclude people. There was an interview that my guy, Boss Cowboys, did with Chris Harris. And he was like just asking him a casual question like, hey, dog, you think you're going to come over to the Cowboys? And he was like, nope. He said, why? He said, they gave me a call. And he said, what did they say? I'm not tall enough.
Jeez, man.
I said, man, we could have had Chris Harris Jr. Think about that, how well that would have worked out for Diggs. Think about how much that would have improved a Cheeto Woozier game, to have somebody with that level of knowledge and experience. Think about how that would help out Jordan Lewis. But by the Cowboys so stuck on measurables, they didn't give the brother a chance or an opportunity. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's what the Cowboys are. They're a little bit too rigid sometimes. I wish there was some leeway because we're going to see it in this draft. Asante Samuel, I mean, he might measure 5'10". Hell of a player. Got the bloodlines. Might not even be on the Cowboys' radar.
Nope. Yep.
That's very unfortunate. I just want football players. I want dogs on this team because it's something that the DNA is missing. Like you don't have that. We're gonna bully you. You're gonna come here. We're gonna beat the crap out of you. We don't have that right now. I don't get that vibe from this team right now. Law, do you?
We don't have that assassin dog. Outside of what Donovan Wilson did across the board, we don't have that assassin dog. I think that Diggs can become that dog that get that bark and get that heavy bark going on. But outside of Diggs and Donovan Wilson, D-Law, he talked a good game, but he didn't back it up. Matter of fact, he was talking such a good game, his own mama called him and told him, hey, can you hush a little bit? And I said, come on, moms. You can't be calling the son out and telling him to hush and just play the game. Look, I would rather for D-Law to continue to talk his stuff, and let him let the skill of play eat it up on him. But at least he's being true and real to himself. Don't hold back. Just continue to talk.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. So, jeez, I know, man.
Yeah.
I wish they would consider, maybe reevaluate that in their scouting. Like, we're kind of missing out on some of these dog type players. Maybe we should, look into one of these guys that's not 6 foot. you know, It'll be interesting to see what they do here as far as linebacker goes. Law, this has been a subject that's very, polarizing for fans as far as Leighton Vander Esch and moreover, Jalen Smith. Do you feel that they're good? I get the feeling that the Cowboys just have too much hubris and they're just going to be like, we're not going to make any changes here. These are our two guys. We might add somebody else. What do you think they're going to do with linebacker in the offseason?
Well, that's a very interesting topic there. As far as linebackers, we can look at it and say, well, in the draft, you got the Notre Dame kid, you got the Parson kid from Penn, you got the Xavier Collins, you got Nick Bolton, you got all of those guys, which is cute. It's good to have on paper. It's beautiful to see, right? It's a cute situation. But the problem is with the Cowboys is that, well, the fans and everything, they still got to know that we got Jalen. And we have LVE. And I don't think that Jerry, Wayne Jones, and Stephen Jones will ever fall on the sword and say that they are wrong. If they are,
right.
If they ever do that, then man, oh man, it'll be a new day in Dallas Cowboys land. So my thing is, what do we do at this point? Is Dan Quinn's voice loud enough to say and bang on the table and say, hey, we need Parson, or we need the Jeremiah kid from Notre Dame, or we need the Xavier Collins kid. I don't think that he would ever do that because he's trying to earn his way into the system. He's trying to earn and buy his way into the system and philosophy of earning his trust with the Joneses. So he probably came out there, and I'm going to use Mike McCarthy as an example. I watched every tape last year. That what Mike McCarthy said. I watch every single tape of the Dallas Cowboys, and these are the issues with Kellen Moore's offense. I still want him to be here, but these are the issues. I guarantee you, Dan Quinn looked at that same playbook and said, you know what? I'm going to pull a Mike McCarthy. I watched every setup and formation what the Dallas Cowboys did. And I recall when I had a Bobby Wagner. I recall when I had a KJ. You got that right there with LVE. You got that right there with Jalen Smith. Just give me an opportunity. I can coach those guys up. And they looked at each other and said, damn it, he got the job.
I think that is a great point, Law. And I feel like that's probably what happened. I really do. I really do. Because, you and I, we just follow this team like crazy. Like, you already know how these guys are thinking, right? So it's like, that wouldn't surprise me one bit. Whatsoever. Like, we need you to salvage this. We need you to
right.
This is who we signed. They're not going anywhere. Yeah, I could see that. And I know Cowboys fans don't want to hear that.
Right, they don't want to hear it.
A lot of fans have soured on both of these guys, unfortunately. But LVE and Jalen, they looked good 2 seasons ago when they were still in that Marinelli type of defense. So I think they're kind of banking and hoping that this will happen this season. But if it doesn't, and then I think, 2022, you have to do something,
Right.
I feel like at that point, okay, we've exhausted everything here. Let's let's make a change here.
You're right, man. So hopefully Jalen Smith with the new scheme, back to the old scheme that he's not thinking. And trust me, his game is everything on instincts, right? Flipping your hips, flying out to the ball, making the tackle, and trying to do that with one leg, by the way. Yeah. Maybe he can look at it like this. Okay, we're going back to a more simplified process here. Maybe I could be there for 1/10 of a second quicker.
Could be. Yeah,
Could be.
Let's hope that will be the case. We these guys got to step up the game, every single one of them. I think we did a good job covering the team here today, Law. And I
You did.
appreciate you coming on here. I mean, uh, just to work with one of the goats here.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness, man! Come on, man! You the goat, man.
very special. No, the goats are the guys we look up to. And man, I remember when you brought me on first. It really helped out my channel immensely, and I'm forever grateful for that, Law. So, man, appreciate you very much. So if anybody has not found you, where can they find you, Law? I don't
Well,
I would be shocked, but go ahead and let them know.
well, Cowboy Nation, I really appreciate everybody, man. Y'all can find me at LAW Nation or S Nation on Instagram and Facebook, and as well as on YouTube. Just type in Law Nation, you'll see my face, name, or logo there. And if you really want to support me, man, I got Patreon at LAWS Nation as well. And that is at PayPal and Cash App, as well as Twitch and Twitter, LAWS Nation. I try to be on so many platforms, Joe. And that's just how it goes. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, Law is everywhere, and he's like everywhere covering this team. Like I said, he covers it so well. I'll be at work in my day job, and Law's breaking some new. Like I said, I don't even look at ESPN or any of these guys anymore. The YouTube community for the Cowboys, and Law and I talked about this. It's one of the better, communities out there for the Cowboys.
Second to none, man.
Yeah, second to none. But that's all we have right now, guys. Appreciate everybody that checked out the stream. Hope you catch this on the replay. Make sure you guys subscribe to both the channels here. Continue to like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you for the next one, guys. Peace.
Go Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Yeah.